So we were discussing the different national parties, political parties that we have. India. We've discussed two. We've talked about Indian National Congress and we've talked about BJP. Let's talk about Bahujan Samaj Party now. It was formed in 1984 under the leadership of Kanshi Ram seeks to represent and secure, the power of the Bahujan Samaj, which means, it talks about Dalits, Adivasis, other backward classes, and religious minorities. It draws inspiration from the idea and teaching of Sahu Maharaj, Mahatma Phule, Periyar, Ramaswamy Naikar, Baba Sahib Ambedkar. So it all talks about the groups who have been at a position of disadvantage over the years, decades, sorry. Stands for the cause of securing the interest and welfare of the Dalits and oppressed people. It has its main base in the state of Uttar Pradesh and substantial presence in its neighboring states like Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand, Delhi, Punjab. Formed government in Uttar Pradesh several times by taking the support of different parties at different times. We're talking about coalition now, right now, alliance. In the Lok Sabha election held in 2004, it polled about 5% of the votes and secured 19 uh, Lok and secured 19 seats in the Lok Sabha. So that's the latest figure they are giving. This book has to be updated because after that we had so many more elections. We had the latest, I think, one was in 2019 also we had, or and before that we had it in 2014 also, and before that. So this book needs to get updated. Okay, now we talk about CPI M, which is Marxist. It was founded in 1964 and believes in Marxism, the idea of that, which was it believes in Marxism, Leninism, supports socialism, secularism, democracy, opposes imperialism and communalism. Uh, um, he talks about socialism and secularism, that there should be no this religious organization, or he talks about not favoring any particular religion, and he opposes imperialism, the idea of imperialism and communalism, that division of people on the basis of religion and etc. Accepts democratic election as a useful and helpful means for securing the objective of socio-economic justice in India. So it focuses more on the socio-economic justice, enjoys strong support in West Bengal, Kerala, and Tripura, especially among the poor, factory workers, farmers, agricultural laborers, and intelligentsia. Critical of the new economic policies that allow the free flow of foreign capital and goods into the country, has been in power in West Bengal without a break for 30 years. It had been in power. In 2004 election, it won 6% of the votes and 43 seats in the Lok Sabha. To be a national party, you just need require 4 seats in the Lok Sabha, and of course the 6% votes. Currently supports the UPA government from outside without joining the government. So next we have the original Communist Party of India, from which this Marxist party came. It believes in Marxism, Leninism, secularism, democracy, opposed to the forces of secessionism and communalism, accepts parliamentary democracy as a means of promoting the interests of the working class farmers. It talks about, mainly about working class farmers and the poor. Okay, so became weak after the split in the party in 1964 that led to the formation of CPIM we talked about here, and significant presence in the state of Kerala, especially Kerala, West Bengal, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. It supports, its support base had gradually declined over the years. It secured about 1.4% votes and 10 seats in the 2004 Lok Sabha election advocates the coming together of all the left parties to build a strong left front. So they believe that all the left parties with the idea of leftist they should come together, and it supports the UPA government, which is like the Congress alliance. Then we talk about National Congress Party (NCP), formed in 1999 following a split in the Congress Party. So Indian National Congress is the oldest party, but I'll tell you something. There have been so many parties that have branched out from the original Indian National Congress. I think we'll study in the following chapters or maybe in a year later or so, books of literacy. Espouses democracy, Gandhian secular equity, social justice, federalism, wants that the high offices in government be confined to natural born citizens of the country. So they say that whoever holds the high offices in the government should be confined to the natural born citizen, should belong to the natural born citizens. Okay, and should be, actually a major party. It's a major party in Maharashtra and has a significant presence in Meghalaya, Manipur, and Assam. A coalition partner in the state of Maharashtra in alliance with the Congress since 2004, member of the UPA. So look at all the six political parties, you'll see that uh, almost all the sections of the societies are covered. Whether you talk about the center party, then centrist idea with a party with the ideology of centrist party, then we have Congress. If we talk about more religious Hindutva with the idea, we have Bharatiya Janata Party. If you talk about people who talk about oppressed people or people who've been at a disadvantaged stage, advantage, then we have Bahujan Samaj Party. And then we talk about socialism, some party who support, we have Communist Party of India. Then we have people who work for the working class, farmers and the poor. We have CPI, and then we have also the party which works on the ground of Gandhian secularism, equity, social justice, and federalism. So overall, we have a mix of national political parties. Now let's come about the state parties. We know that to be a state, to be recognized as a state party, you need to have 6% of the votes in the state legislative assemblies, and you need to at least win two seats, okay, in that election. Other than six parties, most of the major parties of the world are classified by the election commission as state parties. These are commonly referred to as regional parties because they don't have support or in other states. Yet these parties need not be regional in their ideology or outlook. Some of these parties are sorry, I'll make it more clear. Okay, some of these parties are all India parties that happen to have succeeded only in some states. Parties like the Samajwadi Party, Samta Party, or the Rashtra RJD. RJD is very famous. Okay, Rashtra, even though it's just a state party right now. Rashtriya Janata Dal have national level political organization with units in several states. Some of these parties like the Biju. Okay, like I'll tell you something about Biju Janata Dal. It's a party in Odisha. Okay, it's very famous. Naveen Patnaik, I think he's the present chief minister of Odisha. Um, okay, with Bhubaneswar at its as its capital. Study about there. Biju Janata Dal has been, a very major political party in Odisha, and it has done a lot for the Indian hockey team, sponsoring it. You must have seen the recent Olympics also. So many people gave credit to the Odisha government for promoting and sponsoring the Indian hockey team. Sikkim Democratic Front, Mizo, National Gram are serious, conscious about their states. Over the last 3 decades, the number and strength of these parties have has expanded. This made the Parliament of India politically more and more diverse. No one national party is able to secure on its own a majority in the Lok Sabha. As a result, a national party are compelled to form alliances, with state parties. Since 1996, nearly every one of the state parties has got an opportunity to be a part of one or the other national level coalition government. This has contributed to the idea of federalism and democracy in our country. So let's see about the map. Okay, map. This is the map of India, and you can here see different parties. In Kashmir, you have these this map. You know, as of 6th January 2007, it shows the different regional parties that are there in different states. In, for example, Jammu, we have Jammu and Kashmir National Congress, Jammu and Kashmir National Panthers Party, Jammu and Kashmir People's Democratic. um Party. In Uttarakhand, we have Uttarakhand Kranti Dal. In Punjab, Shiromani Akali Dal, you know, it's a very famous party. Then in Haryana, we have Indian National Lok Dal. Then in Uttar Pradesh, we have Samajwadi Party, you know, which has a symbol of this thing, cycle. Then we have Rashtriya Lok Dal. Then in Bihar we have Janta Dal, we have Lok Jan Shakti, we have Rashtra RJD, we were talking about that. And so on, there are different parties, you know. I'll tell you, remember we talked about Assam Gana Parishad, the party which came out of the people's movement. Okay, then we talk about Karnataka. We have Janta Dal Secular. Then in Goa, we have United Goans Democratic Party, Mahashtravadi Gomantak Party. In Pondicherry, we have Pondicherry Munetra Congress. In Kerala, we have Indian Federal Democratic Party. We have Kerala Congress Party, Mani. We have Muslim League. Then, you know, in Tamil Nadu, you know, these are regional parties. They might have not got the status of the national party as of now, but yeah, you know, uh, uh, this All India Anna DMK party is very famous. Dravida or DMK also, Dravida Munnetra Kazakam. So these party was actually one before, but I think some tussle between you know, in the party that led to the separation. Then in West Bengal we have Trinamool Congress. We have a very famous leader from Trinamool Congress, the Prime Minister. ये Mamata Banerjee. She's very famous, very strong leader. Quite a face for the opposition, you know, to give them a अच्छे से टक्कर because of her, you know, her in the recent West Bengal state legislative assemblies. We saw how strong Mamata Banerjee is in politics when she defeated the BJP in West Bengal. Then we have many other parties in the northeast also. For example, Mizoram, we have Mizoram People's Conference, Mizo National Front. Then we in Tripura, we have Indigenous National Party of Tripura. We have Meghalaya Democratic Party in Meghalaya and United Democratic, and so on. We have different parties. Okay. So what are the challenges which come in the way of these political parties? Now let's look at the challenges. We have seen how crucial political parties are for the working of democracy, the role of political parties in the democracy of India, working of democracy. Since parties are most visible face, they are the most visible face of democracy. It is natural that people blame parties for whatever is wrong or whatever is good in the working of democracy. All over the world, people express strong dissatisfaction with the failure of the political parties to perform there's something wrong in the country, we are going to blame the government and so on, and we have done it. This is the case in our country too. Popular dissatisfaction, criticism has focused on more on four problems areas in the working of the political parties. Political parties need to face and overcome these challenges in order to remain a very effective instrument in the working of a democratic setup. So here you can see, can you see, this is a Berlusconi puppet theater. How you can see, okay, so missed so this person who's named Berlusconi, he that person is the prime minister of Italy. He's also one of the top businessmen of in Italy. You know, he's the leader of the Forza Italia, founded in 1993. His company owns TV channels, the most important publishing company, a football club, and a bank. And this cartoon was made during the last elections. So they are saying that actually whatever he want, he can show it in the TV, because one they this Mr. Berlusconi, who is the prime minister of Italy, he owns a media house which is a very famous, TV channel. So he controls. See, even the wire is not plugged in, and he's showing all the, display of the television and everything. So why don't parties get enough ticket to women? Is that also due to lack of internal democracy? We can say, even we say chalo, a lot of times we say that, India is a democratic country and falana. But you will see, or you will might have realized by now that, do you think that there is democracy? Chalo, we say that there is democracy in India, but do you also think or believe that there is democracy in the internal matters of a political party? That's the bigger question. So think on that line. The first challenge is the lack of internal democracy. Oh, I was just mentioning, and the point actually came up here. The lack of internal democracy within parties. For example, I'll just give you a very solid example. The position of who's going to be the president of a party. Recently we saw so sorry, it's your recently we saw so many times that Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who is being appointed as the president of the Indian National Congress, how many times he resigned, and then he again, the party members again made him the president, and that's on. If he doesn't want, leave him, give a chance to somebody else, because there are so many people who want to lead the party, and that's what happens. But it's their internal matter, of that party, and that actually even questions the internal democracy of the party. All over the world, there's a tendency in political parties towards the concentration of power in one or few leaders at the top. We would also say, sometimes we would say that only one family is running this political party, or only few leaders are running that political party. Everything whatever done is being done on whatever this person says or that person says. We've heard those stories quite a lot of time. Okay, towards the concentration in one or few leaders of at the top. Parties do not keep membership registers. They do not hold organizational meetings, do not conduct internal elections regularly. For example, for the post of president, we saw ordinary members of the party do not get sufficient information on what happens inside the party. You might be a member of a party, but you might not know the real gossip, or the real working internal, some strategy that's been cooking on. They do not have the means to or connections needed to influence the decisions. They might just have to follow whatever the top leaders or the high command is saying. As a result, the leaders assume greater power to make decisions in the name of the party. So whatever actually the decisions are being in the name of the party are actually just the decisions we that are being made by only few people, the top leaders of the party. Since one of few leaders exercise paramount power, we talk about here, we are talking about paramount power. Okay, in the name of party, those who disagree with leadership find it very difficult to continue in the party. More than loyalty to party principles and policies, personal loyalty to the leader becomes more important. Sometimes the second challenge is the dynastic succession is related to the first one. Of course, since most political parties do not practice open and transparent procedures for their functioning, there are very few ways for an ordinary worker to rise to the power, to the top in a party. Those who happen to be the leaders are in the position on fair advantage to favor people close to them, or even their family members. We've talked about it. In many parties, the top positions are only gone by members of one family. This is unfair to other members of the party. This also has, bad. This is also bad for democracy, since people who do not have adequate experience or popular support. Uh, they occupy positions of power. This tendency is present in some measure all over the country, including in some of the oldest democracies. The third challenge is growing role of money and muscle, power. We talked about criminalization of politics. We talked about a person who has muscle power or money power winning the elections in parties, especially during elections. Since parties are focused on winning elections, they tend to use shortcuts to win elections. They tend to nominate candidates who can raise a lot of money. Rich people and companies who give funds to uh, these parties tend to have influence on the policies and decisions of the party. In some cases, parties support criminals who can win elections. Democrats all over the world are worried about the increasing role of rich people and big companies, in these political setup, especially in a democratic setup. The fourth challenge is that the very often parties do not seem to offer a meaningful choice to the voter. Okay, in order to offer meaningful choice, parties must be significantly different. In recent years, there have been a decline in the ideological differences among parties in most of the world. So most of the parties, they say about the same thing, and they do not offer a variety to choose for the voters. For example, the difference between Labour Party and the Conservative Party in Britain. If we take the example of Britain, where two political parties, Labour Party and Conservative Party, is very little. They agree on more fundamental aspects, but differ only in how policies are to be framed and implemented. So the main fundamental aspects might be same, and only the way of implementation and everything might be different in a country too. The difference among all the major parties on the economic policies have reduced. So all the political parties, they agree on globalization, and so the differences on the economic policies, it has been greatly reduced. Those who really want different policies have no option available. So if you want a different viewpoint or different representation, you actually don't have a choice to choose from. Sometimes people cannot even elect very different leaders either, because the set of leaders keep shifting from one party to another. So sometimes also it happens that you want a leader from some party. You want one leader, so before elections they were part of one party, and after elections they become part of another party. That also happens. So here you can see this cartoon which says one party country, which is a corporate America. Here Supreme Court, you can see, so in his hands I think it's Supreme Court one is showing that. Fox plus Fritz, Senate, House, Presidency, and so on. So they are showing the elephant, as a sign. So one, I think he's a pig. I think. Okay, I cannot say right now very clearly, but I think it's a pig, and this is the Parliament of America. Okay, so here you can say that how this is being sold like a corporate America. That's showing it symbolizes that. The next cartoon that we have is that here you already have so much money. Why do you want to contest elections? So, thus, this suggests that in democracy, people contest elections only to make money. Do you think so? But isn't it true that there are politicians committed to the well-being of people? So many people are there who still believe in the idea of well-being of people and want to purely enter politics or be part of the government, or think because they believe in working for the people, and so. Okay, so this is, I think, the office of an election commission, and they are saying that you think they have come here to file nomination or something, and it's written 50 crores. Maybe that's the value of their asset. So they saying you already have so much money. Why do you want to contest the election? Okay, so that's what they say. Can you identify which of the challenges described in these sections are being highlighted in these cartoons on page 83 to 85? 83 to 85. Okay. What are the ways to curb the misuse of money and muscle power? So you can see, I'll tell you what are they trying to highlight. You can see this person who is the president, who's the prime minister of Italy. He's a top businessman who owns, this a TV channel, a publishing house, a football club, and so many things. Here you can see whoever is, maybe this. I think it's a pig that's shown, and he has all the elephants. Okay, and in his pockets there are Senate, House, President, everything is there. And here on the this thing, Parliament of United States, they are showing corporate America. So they're showing this tilt towards the rightist, and they're showing that it's symbolizing that it's been sold. Here again, it's the election, that in all these election commission where they say you already have so much asset, why do you want to contest an election? So here they are just focusing on how selective people, whether on the top leaders or members who try to contest election or are already in the top power. They have money, they have muscle power to contest an election or have even won. So how can these how can parties be formed, be reformed? What are the changes that can be brought in order to face these challenges? Let me show. Yeah, political parties need to be reformed. The question is, are political parties willing to reform? If they are willing, what has prevented them from reforming so far? If they are not willing, what has is it possible to force them to reform? Citizens all over the world face this question. This is not a simple question to answer. In a democracy, the final decisions is made by the leaders who represent political parties. People can replace them, but only by another set of political leaders or political party. If all of them do not wish to reform, how can anyone force them to change? If all the see if you have uh, okay, like if you have all the seeds which are not compatible to grow in a certain environment, it's not feasible. It's not going to grow, right? You need to have a certain atmosphere, environmental condition for a fruit to grow. Okay, like for example, banana is a tropical fruit. It will grow in the regions of tropical. It won't grow in Antarctica or other states which are colder regions. So that's like that. If you do not, if nobody wants to reform or change, it can't be done. You cannot just force anyone to do it. Let us look at some of the recent efforts and suggestions in the country to reform the political parties and its leaders. uh, the constitution was amended to prevent elected MLAs and MPs from changing parties. This was done because many elected representatives were indulging in defection in order to become ministers or for even cash rewards. Okay, now the law. Okay, so what is defection? Changing party uh, allegiance from the party on which the person got elected to a legislative body to a different party. So this is what I was saying, that before they were part of some other party before the election, after the election they become part of some other. So what does now, there's a law that if an MLA or an MP changes parties, he or shall will lose the seat in the legislature. This new law has helped bring defection down. So this is only so that people are loyal to their party to on whose seat they got elected. At the same time, this has made many dissent even more difficult. MPs and MLAs have to accept whatever the party leader. So there's a pro and a con for this law. Okay, in the Supreme Court passed an order to reduce the influence of money in criminals. Now it is mandatory for every candidate who contest elections to file an affidavit giving all the details of his property and criminal cases pending against him. The new system has made a lot of information available to the people, but there is no system to check if the information given by the your candidates is even true. Okay, you have been here when we say that you've been given so much information so that you make an informed choice. As yet we do not know if it had led to decline in the influence of the rich and the criminals. So there is no solid data to prove it, whether this law has whether this system, while nominating you have to present the affidavit and everything. The election commission had passed an order that it is necessary for political parties to hold an organization elections and file their income tax return. They have to even file the income tax return. The parties have started doing so, but sometimes it is mere formality. It is not clear if the step has led to greater internal democracy in any political party. Besides, these many suggestions are often made to reform the political party. So these are the some suggestions that's been given and for which laws are there. But there are other suggestions which are often made. A law should be made to regulate the inter affairs of the political parties. It should be made compulsory for regional for political parties to maintain a register of its members, to follow its own constitution, to have an independent authority, and to act as a judge in the case of any party disputes, to hold open elections to the highest post. And that's how it is done. Okay, it should be made mandatory for political parties to give minimum number of tickets, about one third, to women candidates. Similarly, there should be quota for women in the decision making of the body, making bodies of the party. There should be state funding of election. The government should give parties money to support their election expensive. This support could be given in the form of like petrol, paper, telephone, etc., or it could be given in cash on the basis of votes secured by the party in the election. So these are just suggestions. Okay, then nothing has been done to uh, do this. These are just mere suggestions. These suggestions have not been accepted by political parties. If and when these suggestions are accepted, this could lead to some improvement. Maybe if there is no solid evidence, we are saying that maybe. Okay, if and when these they could show some improvement, but we must be very careful about legal solution to political parties. Sometimes even over regulation of political parties can be counterproductive. Over of anything, access of anything is bad, whether it's over regulation or anything, eating extra sugar, that will lead to diabetes. This would force all the political wide way political parties to find ways to cheat the law. Besides, political parties will not agree to pass a law that they do not like. Why will the political party agree to a law that they don't find comfortable in? There are two other ways in which political parties can be reformed. One way is that of course, you, me, citizens of India put pressure on these political parties. This can be done through petitions, publicity, agitations, and so on. Ordinary citizens, pressure groups, movements, and media. So we are talking about ordinary citizens like you and me. Pressure groups, media, the news channels can play a very important role in this. You don't know the power of media. If political parties feel that they might lose people support, which is the most important basis in an election, they might take up these reforms, and they would even become more serious about actually following these reforms. Two political parties can improve if those who want to join political parties, uh, uh, those who want this, they, if you want a change, be the change. So it's simply, if you want change in this whole political system, enter into the political system, form your own party, and be the change. The quality of democracy depends on the degree of public participation. We've already spoken so many times the importance of public participation, whether in the mass movement or protests and everything. It is difficult to reform politics if ordinary citizens do not take part in it and simply criticize it from the outside. The problem of bad politics can be solved by more and better politics. We shall return to this theme in the final chapter. So here you can say, what is an affidavit? If you talk about, then it's a signed document submitted to an officer where a person makes a sworn statement regarding her personal information. Like they say that whatever I'm saying is true by the power of Lord or something like that. So here you can see a cartoon. Attention, electoral discipline is not our cup of tea. Do you agree that this form of reforming politics will be acceptable? Of course, it won't be acceptable, but we also know how to make them it, make it a more acceptable choice. So I'll just do this thing, okay, the short answers, because we've already discussed everything in detail. A group of people who come together to contest elections and hold power in a movement is called like a government form power. It's called a political party. Match the following: Congress party, they have UPA, Bharatiya Janata Party, National NDA. Then we have CPIM, which is a left front, Telugu Desam Party, which is a state party. Okay, so which among the following is the founder of the Bahujan Samaj Party, which talks about the oppressed people, disadvantaged people, poor people? He is Mr. Kanshiram. Then, who is the guiding philosophy of the Bharatiya Janata Party? Then he's the, it is the revolutionary democracy. It talks about the greater Hindutva, the idea of India's culture, and so on. So consider the following statements on parties. Which of the statements are correct? It is A and B. Political parties do not enjoy much trust among the people and are often dropped